Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol. So today I am at Tesla, just near Heathrow, because I'm going to be driving the very latest Tesla Model S. It's my first ever electric car. I'm really excited. I've got lots of expectation. I've done lots of reading. I'm kind of waiting to see what it's like. So roll the titles. Maybe Petrolped isn't such a good name for the channel today. Roll the new titles. Okay, so let's start today's film slightly different way around by going inside and taking a look around the Tesla showroom, because they've got some really interesting things for me to show you in here before we take the car out on the road. So, what does one of these look like under the skin? Well, the answer is, kind of looks like that. Let's have a look, shall we? So what I love about this chassis is it's just so simple. There's kind of hardly anything to it. So this is the rear of the car. If we just wander around here. So what we basically got here is the motor for the vehicle, and then this is the inverter, so that when you're driving along and you want to accelerate, the electric power goes to the motor, drives the car. When you lift off the gas or when you're braking, you basically harvest that power through the inverter back into the battery, so you effectively kind of charge the batteries up, makes the batteries go a bit longer. This particular chassis that's on display is just the two-wheel drive version, but if you had the four-wheel drive version like we're going to drive, then there's the same as this up the front, and then it's basically got drive through all four wheels. So under the floor of the car, so this is basically where the battery units are going to sit. And you can configure the car with slightly different numbers of batteries if you like to extend the range and so on. But you're kind of looking at somewhere in the region of about 15,000 iPhones worth of battery power in the car. But what makes it really interesting is it's very low, and batteries weigh quite a lot, so it makes the car have a very low centre of gravity, which, although it's a heavy car, it's all the weight's down low, so that aids things like handling and performance. And then basically if you come around the front here, as I said, this is the two-wheel drive car, but you've basically just got things like the steering rack and suspension units, but it's such a simple looking thing. So it's really interesting talking to the guys here at Tesla. So they want this showroom not to be like your kind of typical car showroom. So you can come in here and you can configure your vehicle. You've got lovely different material choice for headliners. You've got a range of different veneers. Obviously you've got the different paint colours and so on, and different wheel choices. But it's all about it's almost like more like buying a piece of technology. So I've got this lovely tap screen, and I can start to do things like configure my car, which is pretty cool, and change the exterior colour. I could change the wheels, so maybe have some nice anthracite wheels on there. I can look at the interior. So it's all about kind of personalising your vehicle. So this is the Tesla supercharger, and there's a network of these around the country, and actually the sat-nav in the car kind of tells you where your nearest one is. And if you were to program a route into the sat-nav, and it was too far, if you like, beyond the range of the car's current battery charge, it would actually kind of deviate past one of these things. So you plug it in, this thing will basically 50% charge the battery within 30 minutes, and then a full charge is about an hour and a half, depending on the battery. But very, very quick. And then the very cool thing is it's free. So if you go to a Tesla supercharger, it doesn't cost you to charge your car up. So the only time it costs you to charge one of these up is if you did it from home, and it works out at around about £4 per 100 miles of range. So when you think about the cost of these cars, I mean the on-the-road price is quite expensive, I guess, for a saloon. But when you then take into account things like you don't pay road tax, things like the servicing's minimal because there's no working parts. if you were to use the superchargers, you kind of get free charging. So the total cost of ownership over the lifetime of the vehicle makes these cars incredibly attractive. And also, if you go into London, you don't pay congestion charge. So we've had a look at the supercharger outside, but this is basically your kind of home charger. So I guess that's the difference. When you buy a Tesla, you need to think about the infrastructure around charging and so on. So you can have one of these installed in your home. They take longer to charge the vehicle, but you typically, I guess, it would be like just thinking about your smartphone. You get home from work, you plug your smartphone in overnight to charge up, and the next morning it's fully charged. Same thing with your car. You come home, you plug it in, it trickle charges overnight, and then you've got a full charge the next day. And that full charge is going to take you to 250 miles. And if you think about, most of us don't kind of drive much more than that. If it was a commute and so on, that's well within the kind of capabilities of the car. Okay guys, I think it's about time we went out for a test drive. I do want to take a quick moment to thank the guys here at Tesla, Emma in particular. You've been so helpful and professional. You know, when I said I wanted to film in the car, we arranged it specially. I came down so I get access to the car, and really thank you for that. But this is the car we're going to take out for a drive. It's the 90 kilowatt hour variant, so the longest range battery you can get. It's got the performance pack. It's got four-wheel drive, or dual motor as they're calling it, and it's also got Ludicrous mode. This car will do 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds, and we're going to give it a go. It's also got AutoPilot feature, so we're going to test that as well. So let's go out and see what it's like to drive. Okay, so here we go. And the first very weird thing is it doesn't make a noise. There's a slight hum, so it does when well, it's not tick over. When you're stationary, you can kind of just hear the systems of the car working. Once you drive away, all you really hear is a bit of road noise. Straight away, I just lifted off the throttle there, and you feel the regenerative braking. I didn't touch the brake pedal at all, but the car kind of slowed a bit more quickly than you'd imagine it to. And yeah, the throttle response is I'm only mooching along in the kind of just coming away from the Tesla garage, but already it feels very different to a normal petrol or diesel vehicle. Okay, I've been in this car 5 minutes, and already it is a very different experience to drive. You'll hear lots of people talking about electric cars with this instant torque, and until you experience it, you have no idea just what they're talking about, but it is absolutely superb, especially the mid-range stuff. So I'm actually on a motorway, I'm doing about 50 miles an hour, and when I put my foot down, the surge away is absolutely brilliant. There's no kick down in the gearbox, there's no, if a manual car you'd obviously have to be in the right gear to get the right amount of torque. In this car there's none of that. You just put your foot down, you can change lanes very quickly, you can accelerate out of problems quickly. Very impressive. When you accelerate in this car, there's just this little whistle that goes on, and then it just zooms you ahead. It's absolutely mind-blowing. You're kind of joining a motorway or a dual carriageway. The getting up to speed is just so effortless. So I'm in the lane 3 of the motorway, and I've got to try this AutoPilot lane assist feature, which this car's fitted with, because it's the thing that everybody talks about with the Tesla. So I've got some indicators on the dashboard that say that this feature is available. I've got a little stalk indicator to the left. I'm just going to pull it towards me twice. I've not got my foot on the pedals. It accelerates up to the national speed limit, so we're now doing 70 miles an hour. And this is a hands-on feature, so I need to have my hands on the steering wheel, but it's holding itself in the lane, and I've got an indicator in front of me showing me that I'm in the sort of lane 3, actually lane 2, because there's the inner lane's going off. What is very weird is your natural instinct is to want to steer, but the car's doing it for me. I've basically got effectively like an adaptive cruise control in front, so it's going to set a distance between me and the car in front, and it's going to keep me in my lane. If I indicate to the left, oh, that is so weird. It's just basically changed lane to lane 1, and I didn't steer. That's very weird. Now this would be interesting because I've got slower cars coming onto the motorway in front of me. It's basically picked those up, it's dropped my speed back down, so instead of doing 70 miles an hour I'm now doing 56 because the car in front of me is doing 56. It's accelerating, so I'm accelerating. If I changed lane to the outside lane, it's going to change lane for me. It's now accelerated me up to 70 miles an hour and I'm now in lane 2 and it's doing it all by itself again. So I'm in lane 2. I'm just going to engage autopilot, so my foot's now off of the pedals, and I've got a vehicle in front which you'll probably be able to see that's doing 64 miles an hour, and I've got this set distance between me and it, and the car will basically constantly monitor and adjust that. And I want to keep my hands on the steering wheel, but as you can see I'm literally just with my fingers. I'm not inputting into the steering wheel at all, and it's going round a right hand curve. And also on the display, and again I don't know whether you'll see this, but the car is able to detect all the vehicles going past, and they kind of appear on the little screen in front of me. So if I wanted to overtake this car, I'd check the lane 3's clear. It is. I indicate, it basically changes lane for me up into lane 3, and now takes me up to the national speed limit, 70 miles an hour, and that is remarkable. If I want to go into the middle lane now, because lane 2 is clear, I indicate. Once it's all clear, it's telling me to hold the steering wheel. You see, so you have to hold the steering wheel, even though it's doing it for you. If you take your hands off for too long, it tells you hold the steering wheel, and it kind of won't do anything until you do that. So just then, so if I take my hands off the steering wheel, it will keep me in the lane, but what it won't allow me to do is do the lane changing option. It kind of reminded me, put my hands on the steering wheel before it would change lane. So we've found a quiet road, we've engaged Ludicrous mode, and I just want to let's go for it. 60. Wow, my goodness me. That is outrageous. I need to have another go at that, because that was just mind-blowing. 60, that is just... If you own one of these, you'd be doing that all the time and just charging your car up quite a lot. It's just, it's the only comparison I can draw to that is I now know what it feels like to drive the Millennium Falcon, because that thing, hey, this could do the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs, I'm convinced of it. Absolutely mind-blowing. You put your foot down, it's four-wheel drive, the whole car kind of just, the nose of the car lifts up because it's trying to go so quick, and it just keeps going. Wow. The steering wheel and instrument binnacle of the Tesla kind of look reasonably like a normal car. It's the TFT technology, a little bit like Audi's virtual cockpit. The thing that makes this car mega cool is this screen here. So this is the main control panel for the whole car, and the best way to describe this car is it's like a very fast four-wheel drive iPhone. If I click on here, I've got full sat nav. All of these charging points I can pinch zoom. These are the supercharger Tesla charging points. I have the ability to go through and look at the kind of consumption figures and so on for the car. Interesting thing. So this is after my test drive, and we can see I'm sort of driving reasonably sensibly here, and then I had 2 goes at Ludicrous mode, where clearly my consumption went up significantly. The car's fully internet connected, so you might just be able to spot up here. It's basically got a mobile data connection, so I can go on to and browse the web if I want to. Down here's the cool button though, so if I just go to controls, so I can now pretty much control anything in the car. So first things first, I've got my sunroof control. So if I want the sunroof open, I just do this. And the sunroof starts to open. I've opened it 61%, but maybe I want to open it a little bit more than that, so open it 75%. And I don't know if you can spot, but it's really lovely. So you've even got like a picture of inside the car on there. So I'm now going to close that back up again. So I can go into driving. So this is the really cool stuff. So I've got some steering settings, comfort, standard and sport. This car's got the magic Ludicrous mode for kind of basically maximum performance. I can basically have like an automatic car would creep when you're in drive. I can turn that on or off. The regenerative braking, one of the things you'll find in this car when you lift your foot off the throttle is the regenerative braking kicks in, and that's quite kind of, not severe is probably the wrong word, but I can basically put it on a lower setting if I was sort of creeping in traffic. And then if I go into the settings page, so these are some quite interesting settings. So I can basically have my auto steer off, auto lane change off. The summon feature, so if I had this car parked in a tight garage, I can basically, from an app on my iPhone, summon the car and the car will drive towards me. So it basically drive out of the garage so I could get in it, which I just think is absolutely bonkers. I've got the sort of side collision warning and lane departure warnings. I can have a speed limit warning, so I could set this, at the moment it's set to warn me when I hit the whatever the road speed limit is. And then I've also got the collision avoidance assistance, so when a car pulls in front of me and I'm using the autopilot, at what point do I sort of get the warning? And I've got emergency braking capability there as well. The final thing worth talking about this car is I've got this sort of Tesla button up here. So basically it will give me information about my particular car, and we can see the car that I'm in. But this car does over-the-air software upgrades a little bit like your smartphone. So if Tesla have an update, a bug fix or a new feature or a new capability, they'll basically notify the car, and you get a little notification up here, and it will tell you how long that update's going to take to download, and you could basically set it to download overnight, and you wake up the next morning with a car with maybe a new feature or a new capability. Just really, really smart. This car is so much advanced in terms of some of the ways it's doing things, and it is like having a kind of smartphone with your kind of apps updating. Very, very clever. Okay guys, that brings me to the end of my Tesla adventure. So I am lost for words about this car. How this manufacturer has gone from not making vehicles 10 years ago to making a car this capable I just find it's incredible. The whole electric thing, so this instant torque they talk about, it really is instant. You put your foot down, especially the mid-range, very impressive. There's no kick down, there's no getting the car into the right gear, it just goes. The tech in the car is brilliant. I love the way, I'm a big technologist anyway, so the fact it does over-the-air updates, the fact you've got that big touch screen to get all of your information, I find absolutely superb. And Ludicrous mode, that's the fastest I've ever done 0 to 60, and I'm sure if we'd have practiced a few times we could have done it quicker than that. It really is a game changer. I know they've been around for a couple of years. Very excited to have a look in more detail maybe at the Model X when that comes out later this year. But guys, if you've never driven an electric car before, you need to get yourself down to a Tesla showroom. There's one at Gatwick, there's one at Heathrow if you live in the south. I'm not sure where the northern ones are, but I'll put them in the description. And you've got to experience it, it's just amazing. So anyway, I'm now going to go home and just kind of think a little bit more about electric vehicles. But I hope you've enjoyed the video as much as I've enjoyed making it. If you have, give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome, and don't forget, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Petrol for plenty more content to come. Anyway, you take care guys, drive safe.